has just arrived. Okay, good. Because this part is very important. We were discussing the different types of chartering. Accordingly, my friends, you will have different types of, can you expect, of charter party, correct? Because for each type of chartering, you have a different charter party. So we have mentioned the voice charter, which is from point to point, like if you hired a taxi, we said from point A to point B, you will pay freight to the ship owner. But uh, you are not committed to special time. The special time or the time frame is in the time charter. If I tell you, for example, I will hire your ship for 6 months or 1 year or something, and then the hire will be calculated on a daily basis. Is it clear, my dear?
Yes, doctor.
Yeah, now we will go to the bareboat. What is the bareboat? Have you heard before the term leasing? Have you heard about leasing? You know what is leasing?
Yes, yes, doctor. Like if we give our trucks on leasing,
Yes.
with or without crew, that means without driver or with the
Yes,
driver.
yes, correct.
Including fuel
Correct.
or without including
Correct.
fuel.
It's the
including
same.
maintenance without like this.
Yeah, it's the same, exactly.
Or only you need, or only you need a truck like this.
Correct. The same is the bareboat. That's why they call it bareboat, you know, because you give the ship without anything. You just give the body, you see. You just give the body of the ship to a charterer who will rent your ship for maybe 4 or 5 years or something. And sometimes they put in the contract something called demis. Demis ship, demis charter party. The meaning of demis is that now you hire this ship for 5 years, 10 years, and after that you pay me some bulk payment and take the ship forever, you know, you buy it. This is
it's like buying. Yeah.
Yes, they call leasing. You know, the same is applied in sometimes in flats or in selling some flats or properties. You can lease a property for 10 years, and after that they calculate the rent you have paid for 10 years, because you have paid a lot, you know. In 10 years you have paid a lot of money, so they calculate what you have paid, and then they add a bulk payment, and then you will get the ownership of the flat or the property. The same we do in the bareboat chartering. I will give you, as a ship owner, I will give you the body only. You can do everything. You hire master, you do everything. And after maybe 5 or 10 years, we sit together and we calculate what you have paid. And then we calculate, for example, what is satisfying for me. For example, I want from you 20,000 US dollar, and you take the ship forever, you know. So it's like that. This is the bareboat. We call it leasing also. Sometimes they call it leasing. Contract of affreightment, we have discussed it before. It's like we give an example. For example, we said we give an example of Aramco or Sabic. If Aramco has 1 million ton of oil, refined or crude oil, to be exported, it is not logical every time to discuss time or voyage. It is not logical. They will do something like tender in the beginning of the year, and then they will ask for bidding. You know, they will say, for example, they will say, we have now 1 million ton. Who can afford to give some good ships for carriage of this amount during 1 year. You see, it is also limited by time. It is, you can say, it is a kind of time charter, but it is based on a quantity most of the time. 1 million. Now I will find that the biggest ship owners will come and give bidding, you know. So you will find the ship owner who can offer carrying 1 million during the year. Then he will employ maybe 10 or 20 ships according to the amount which can the ship carry. I mean the ship capacity, the dead weight. The ship capacity, you will divide the million ton per, for example, 50,000, and then you calculate, okay, so you need 20 ships, I will provide you 20 ships or 100 ships or whatever. Now you don't care about new agreement every time. Okay, you have one agreement for a big quantity. Okay, so what is the advantage of this method? What is the advantage of this method?
Yeah, the owner of the cargo will not be responsible for demurrage.
Yes, correct, correct. And also, you know, the owner is protected against freight ups and downs, you know. Now, okay, I agreed with you, you will carry 1 million. I don't care now, the rent or the chartering hire is going, the chartering rate is going up and down. I don't care. I don't care. I have already agreed with you. And you have to keep the agreement and you abide by the contract. You will offer the ships whatever the rate is up and down. I don't care. This is good.
Yes.
This is good for giving, you know, stability for the cargo owner. But in the meantime, there is a disadvantage. There is a disadvantage. Can you imagine what is the disadvantage?
The disadvantage is like maybe when the prices goes down, then he will not have that
Great,
benefit.
excellent, excellent, excellent. This is you are very smart, my dear. Now, if the market is down, I cannot go and ship my cargo with another ship owner. You know. Now I have lost the chance to go in a lower market. This is advantage. This advantage is always the case in time charter. Now, if I charter a ship for 1 year, now suppose after 2 or 3 months the market is going down, and this market is up and down all the time. You know, so you are losing the chance to look for another ship owner. But what is most important is that you secure your cargo. You know, you are not subject to missing or find yourself in a situation where no ships are available. The voyage charter gives you the advantage of finding new prices and getting, if the market is go down, okay, the next voyage you will go with another ship owner, but it has the risk of missing ships or finding the supply of the ships are not available. Then you have to balance. You have to balance between all this. But usually big companies like Aramco or Sabic or whatever, usually they will do contract of affreightment. It is most important to them is the schedule. You know, the most important is the schedule other than the price. It is crucial for them to secure the shipments. So that part we were talking about, what do you do before time chartering? Okay, you do ship survey, condition survey for the ship and the hull, the certificates, machine, everything. This one we call on hire survey, on hire, because you will start renting the ship So you should check the condition and the certificates of the ships. Some certificates should be renewed yearly. Some should be renewed after a few years. It's like that. You have to check. You bring some specialized survey who are doing something called on-hire survey. Bunker survey, bunker usually means 3 or 4 components. They call it fuel oil, diesel oil, and fresh water. You check all this because these are expensive items. So you check fuel oil, diesel oil, and fresh water, and you record this, and you have a record of what is on board. And at that time, you write also what is the price and the cost of this fuel, because now you have taken this from the ship owner on your account. You are responsible either to pay by cash, or you deliver the same amount when you redeliver the ship back to the owner. So after the time charter has ended, again there is a ship survey or vessel survey. You check the condition. We call it off-hire survey. Again, you will do a bunker survey to see fresh water, diesel oil, fuel oil on board. So now we will go in details into the 3 types of chartering. I want you to stop me if you see any unclear point, because it is very important to understand the difference between the 3 or 4 types of chartering. Now, we have mentioned before the voyage charter, single voyage from one port to another port. You see, ship owner will carry all costs. It's like taxi, exactly. The ship owner will bear all the running costs. Crew and master, everything is provided by the ship owner. Lay time should be agreed on. Lay time is when the cargo is ready. You see, when the cargo is ready. Lay can is when the discharging and loading operation will start. You see, so there is a difference between lay time and lay can. The carrier is the ship owner. Is this part clear, my friend?
Yes, doctor.
Okay. So now for crew and master, it is bearable by the ship owner, and it is not the responsibility of the charterer. But if you discharge cargo in port, if there are some cargo expenses, it is on the charterer account. It is not on the ship owner account. Because now, if I discharge, for example, 1,000 or 2,000 tons, the port may charge me some charges which is related to the amount of cargo. So this one is paid by the charterer. Correct? It is logical,
Yeah.
Now the time charterer, yes, dear. Yes.
That means in voyage charter, the charterer is paying to the ship owner like in tonnage or full voyage, like this.
Yes,
or
the agent in the port can pay and collect this money from the charterer. The agent.
So he is charging the ship owner. Ship owner is charging per ton or lump sum to him from the owner of the goods.
The ship owner will charge him what is called freight for the voyage. You see, per ton. This is per ton.
Freight.
Per ton. Yeah, per ton.
Either if he's one. Yeah, per ton. Yes.
Per ton. Yeah, it's per ton.
Right.
This is the freight of the ship. But now, because you know the port costs are different from port to port,
Yes, yes, that
so we
is
cannot,
another thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
we cannot decide while we are doing the contract. So now he will be discharging, for example, in Jeddah. Now say Jeddah is charging 20 US dollar per ton, for example. This will be for the charterer
Mhm.
account, not for the ship owner account. See?
Yes, yes.
This will be for the charterer account.
And what about the stevedoring? Who will pay, the charterer
Stevedoring
or
will
the ship
no stevedoring will be paid by the charterer because stevedoring
by the
is
charter
a yeah
of the goods?
stevedoring is a cargo cost. It's a cargo cost.
Yes, yes.
It's a cargo cost.
And also the demurrage and all this will be borne by the
Yeah,
cargo owner.
yeah, cargo owner. Yeah, yeah. It is not the ship owner account.
Yeah, clear.
You see, the ship owner will bear all running expenses, you know, and recruitment of crew and
Yes,
master
yes.
and everything. Everything for crew. Uh, uh, Carrier, you see, which is the ship owner. Uh,
Yeah.
Cargo capacity controlled by charterer, not ship owner. Now,
Yes.
what is meant by that? You asked for a 50,000 ship. I provided you 50,000 ship. Now you have loaded, for example, 30,000. It is not my responsibility, you know. It is as a ship owner, you see.
Yes.
And you have to pay the freight for
You
the
have
50.
already collected the,
Yeah,
yeah, you have already collected the freight from the, like
yes.
on lump sum basis,
Yes, I
the
collected from
uh,
you. I collected
owner of
from
the
you the
goods.
freight. I collected from you the
Yes.
freight, but you didn't succeed to provide cargo. It is not my problem, you know. It is not my
Yes,
problem
yes, sure.
because you have taken the ship for a voyage, and
Yes.
in the meantime you are responsible because you have blocked the ship in your voyage. So I cannot hire to somebody else. So you cannot come and tell me, no, I will not pay the freight because I didn't load the exact amount. It is not my responsibility as a ship owner.
Yes.
Now in the bareboat, uh, now in the bareboat, I will give you the ship without anything, without crew, without master, without fuel, without anything. You will take the ship only as a body. That's why they call it bareboat,
Yeah.
you
And
know.
manage, the charterer will manage all the costs,
Everything.
whatever
You will
coming.
manage everything. You
Yes.
know, in the time charterer, uh, the shipmaster still under the command of the ship owner. You see?
Hmm.
For example, he cannot go if now in the time charter, if I am okay, I have hired from you the ship on in 1 year, okay, but I cannot
Hmm.
tell the master to go to a dangerous place, for example, to a place with pirates or Somalia, for example, or war or anything. You cannot do this. The master should have approval from the ship owner, even in the time charter. But in the bareboat, it's your responsibility as a charterer. You can do whatever you want, you know. You can do anything
Yeah.
you want with the ship. But as a ship owner, I am responsible for another kind of expenses, which is, for instance, paying loans or the ownership itself, the ownership. There are some expenses for the ownership. If I am buying a ship from a bank or by loan or anything, as a ship owner, I have to pay it. It is not the responsibility of the charterer. You know,
Yes.
even if you take it for 5 years or 10 years, but the ownership expenses are for the ship owner. You see, but
Hmm.
everything else is the responsibility of the charterer. He will take a bareboat. You say bareboat without anything. In Arabic, you call it عارية without anything, just a body, just a body.
Hmm.
Bareboat means عاري in Arabic, naked, like naked, you know,
Hmm.
like we call naked. So the ship owner gives all the management and control, The charterer responsible for managing, running the crew, all the costs. Financial institutions are for the ship owner. Survey and docking and everything, they agree together. They agree together. For example, after 1 year, we need to survey the ship. We need to make sure that the ship is in good condition. They agree together. Who will be responsible for the expenses? And also there is an option to purchase. You see, there is an option to purchase the ship. You can say, I need from you $50,000, and okay, take it. It's yours. You have used it for 10 years. Now I have no problem. You can buy the ship. Contract of affreightment, you remember, you give a quantity, you give a quantity over a fixed period of time. And here, the ship owner is not required to give ship names, ship's name, or decide in the beginning of the year, because no one knows what will happen, Maybe one ship goes out of service or something, or he buys new ships. He is responsible for the quantity only. He will undertake taking, for example, 1 million ton per year. Okay, so it's your responsibility. You have to decide which ships of your fleet you are using. But normally, you deal with the huge ship owner. In this case, somebody who has many ships here and there, and different kind of ships and different sizes and different age of ships, So in this case, he will not provide me in the beginning of the year the name of the ship even. It's your responsibility. You will sign the contract carrying the quantity. So shall we move on, brothers? Are you clear with this?
Yes, doctor.
The standard form of chartering, there is, of course, approval on the terms, and you will put in the contract where is the place of if any claim happened, which court, which law. But normally, all these cases normally goes to London or UK.
Oxa?
London. Yes, Oxa, but the court, normally the courts, big courts of marine claims, usually are located in UK. If you heard the name Lloyd's, you heard the name Lloyd's? Lloyd's.
Yeah, P.N. Lloyd's, yes.
Yes, Lloyd's are the biggest, insurance and claims and courts.
Yes, and yeah.
Lloyd's is the biggest in this.
Yes, insurers, surveyors, and reinsurers.
Reinsurance claims.
Yes.
Because they have a long history in that, hundreds of years. Since the 18th century, London is the base, is the core for chartering claims and cases. And it is the core, it is the core since the 18th century. London is famous for that. Even if you read in the history, you will find that ship owners and charterers used to sit on some cafes and restaurants, and they agree together on the terms. There was
on their trade.
Yeah, no big corporation at that time. No big corporation at that time.
British was the first one to start this sea movements, trade by sea.
Yes, correct.
Followed by French and Portuguese and so on.
Yes, they were the first to start this one in the 18th century, maybe before even, maybe 16th century or something. They were the pioneers in that. When ships were going by coal, ships were moving by coal at that time.
Yes,
Still now they calling sailing steaming. They calling steaming. You know, steaming was done by coal. Still they use the expression steaming. And now
Yeah, yeah.
Baltic Exchange. This is a market for the brokers and ship chartering. This Baltic Exchange is a kind of a party which issue regulations, some regulations for the ship owners and the ship charterers. Uh, if you find time, you can go. Please check the website of Baltic Exchange. Try to remember the name Baltic Exchange. Now we have discussed this, yeah,
Yeah, right. Baltic Exchange.
Baltic Exchange, yeah. We have seen this, but this look that we have is a simple introduction. I think every kind of chartering needs to have a more deeper look into that. We have seen the voyage charter, time charter. There is a kind which is rarely used called trip time. Trip time. Trip time means now you have a very long voyage. For example, going from Australia up to China, or a huge voyage, a very long voyage. You will, as a charterer, you will tell the owner, I will take a voyage, and you can calculate the time. You see, for example, the voyage has taken 2 months. Okay, I will take the voyage from you on a time charter. We call it trip time. I'm not sure. Are you confused with this one?
Mm, yes, doctor. Not sure about trip time charter.
Time, you see.
Yani both trip and time, voyage and time is included in this type of
No,
chartering.
what will happen now? Your voyage is 3 months. Okay, you hire it for 3 months. Okay, your voyage is 6 months, so you hire it for 6 months. You hire the time of the voyage. It is a time charter, but according to the voyage needed, the time needed for the voyage. See? We are not in the beginning of the contract. We are not deciding how much, but you estimate. For example, for voyage is 45 days. Okay, you take the ship for 45 days. The time which is enough for the voyage. You see, time which is enough for the voyage,
Yeah.
you hire. But it's not too much used. Usually, voyage and time, bareboat we discussed. Consecutive voyages means I will take the ship from you for 5 voyages, so no need every time to sit and write a new contract or new charter.
Like a new contract, yes.
Yeah, no need. Just 5 voyages, and the contract of affreightment is based on the amount which you will be able to carry. I hope these types are clear as an introduction, because every and each type of chartering has a special charter party, has a special document. Um, every time you have to agree with the ship owner, if you are a charterer, on the terms which will be included in the charter party. It is very important to agree from the beginning. And also, for each type of this, there is a special type of charter party and special forms which is issued for example, by BIMCO, the Baltic Exchange. The Baltic Exchange called BIMCO. BIMCO. Now the BIMCO
Mhm.
has suggested a form, for example, for Voyage. Okay, and advise all the people to use this one. This one is complete and cover all the aspects of the voyage. So, for example, they call it BEMCO voyage. BEMCO. They are not calling it of exactly BEMCO. They call it GenCon. This is a form suggested by BEMCO. For example, I will give you another example which will clarify this point for you. Now, um, who is hiring the tankers? Who is hiring the tankers all the time?
The
Oil
owner of the, I
companies.
mean,
Oil
oil
company.
companies
Oil
and the
companies.
LPG
Great.
companies and
Oil companies. So, for example, let's say company like Shell. You know Shell? Shell.
yes,
Shell is a huge one, you know. So, Shell, they have a special form for tankers. We call it Shell Charter Party. You see? Uh, the pioneers in the oil industry, they have a special form which they use to activate when they deal with chartering. So you will find the people all the time, okay, what do you think of using Shell? Shell is the best form. Okay, we will use Shell for tankers. We will use Baltic form for Voyage. Uh, there is also a kind of bareboat charter party which is suggested by BIMCO. Okay, they say, what do you think of using BIMCO bareboat charter party? Okay, let's use this one. That's why I want to stop here, and maybe it is better to take a look in the next lecture to the charter party of each kind, and we see some examples how is the contract is done, what is the responsibility. We go in details uh, about these the famous three one voyage, time, and bareboat, because they are the most used types of chartering. So, inshallah, we will take more details looking into charter party and terms and abbreviation in the next lectures. And I hope this part is easy for you and it is not complicated. That's why I don't want to go
no,
to too many details in one session. You know?
simple. Yes, yes, doctor.
Inshallah, it will be useful. We will go the next time to see what is the voyage, exactly how the days are calculated in the time, how is the days are calculated in the voyage, how is the voyage calculated, how can the expenses calculated. Bareboat is easy, you know, we don't need to look at it because it's something, you know, it's going on between corporation and corporation. You know, bareboat,
Yeah, yeah.
some people are buying ships and rent it for a very long time. Usually they are banks, you know, or financial bodies or something like that, because they don't